It is.
Alright, cool. You can hop in too. We're just talking about the OPBA. Did you go to the OPBA?
I was there.
Yeah.
I was
I was in the
second.
laughing crowd.
You guys did two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the second. Yeah, true.
Alright.
Alright,
we're live.
Were we live?
Well, yeah, we're live now.
I didn't get a notification on my phone that Zach Matheny went live.
Okay.
No, Zach Matheny started a live video.
There you go. So it tells you?
Yeah, here.
Can you hear it okay, Cole? Does that sound alright? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
All
Yeah,
right.
here we go.
Alright, here we go. So happy Accountability Friday. It is the 10th episode. So I thought, to celebrate 10, we talked to Tredway today about the OPBA. And, we could, it's actually funny that memory popped up. Our second show was 2018 around this time. So I thought it would be appropriate to talk. I think both of our shows, because were they 1 year apart?
Yeah, 1 year apart.
So yeah, I guess I should give some background. We're here at Max Ever headquarters, talking OPBA today, Ohio Power Bodybuilding Association. Tyler and I, back in the day, we started training at old school, and one of our modalities and something we both live by is looking good, feeling good, and lifting strong. And we wanted to kind of showcase this, so we came together and thought, hey man, let's make these two events with one overall winner. So we'll talk kind of about like strategies and how people approached it, but it was this new concept that, I think a lot of people now generally, even if you're just, someone who doesn't compete, but a lot of people want to be strong and look good. These are all the clients I train, and I think it's important. So having a competition that showcased both of those things, and, basically had one overall winner was this new idea, but really cool, and I think attracted a lot of people in the beginning. And Tyler and I were young. It was our first LLCs, and, I definitely learned a lot, and I think it was definitely a learning experience for both of us, but we'll dive into it. And I think, so, I guess our first one was it 2018 probably?
Yeah, 2018 was the first one.
Second one was 2019.
Yeah.
So our first one we had male only.
We got only dudes. And we had like 8 competitors?
No, we had more than that.
Like
I
10?
think we had like 12 even.
Yeah, it was like pretty
Because
good.
the second show we had almost 20, it was about 25, because I remember it about doubled. And that's when I was like, oh, maybe this will work out.
Yeah, and I think so even the more background on the OPBA, it was kind of when the 4am crew started really kind of popping.
Sure.
And we were
We had a lot of killers in the group, that's for sure.
And that was the first time where really, because before it always seemed like you either were a fat powerlifter or a bodybuilder, and we were kind of almost hybrid that nobody was really doing yet. Mm-hmm. And we tried to create this essentially an organization that would reflect what was going on in old school.
Sure. I don't want to ever be that guy that's we did it first, but we really were before all this. You see power building, everyone's got a fucking power building program.
Yeah,
we were the first one to really put on
fuck on this.
Yeah, oh yeah, we can curse.
Okay. Yeah, go fuck themselves. We were the first. Fuck everybody else. But yeah, we really were. And so here's the part that you don't see is this was Zach and I's second attempt at going into business together, because I used to take these conference calls at Cardinal Health where I worked with Zach and Corey and the owner of Natural Muscle Magazine.
Yeah, wow, man, I kind of forgot about that.
Where we were trying to take over Natural Muscle Magazine, and that was a completely
that kind of led into this.
It kind of we led into it because we were kind of searching for something.
That's
and Zach and I were both working at Cardinal.
Yeah.
Hated our fucking lives. This was before Zach got fired.
Yeah, I got fired.
Which was perfect.
Tyler, I was always on the other end. Tyler's oh, fuck this job. And I was
and then Zach
I was damn. I was man, I don't really know what I want to do. I just, a little lost. And I got fired. And Tyler ended up staying a little longer. But, yeah, man, I honestly forgot about the magazine. It's, that's crazy.
It all kind of, led into that. And then I think, the big thing with the OPBA was we just wanted to find something that we could do together that would allow us to kind of showcase what we were working on.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know what direction we wanted to go with business, but we knew we wanted to start something that was tangible.
Yeah, I think you even we probably never said this, but I felt we were just all right, let's try this. we didn't really have it. I don't think we had a ton of expectations, but we're just
No.
like, let's see where this goes. You know, and
Honestly,
we learned a lot for sure.
I think we were in like the part like of the crew where we were trying to kind of lead the way and like
step up.
Like we were trying to be like leaders in the crew, and I think like this did it, and it was like honestly one of the coolest. Obviously, getting to experience it with you, was awesome. But I think just like all the lessons we learned through the first and second, like we experienced a ton of growth after the first one.
Sure.
Then we bought all the equipment, and then the production just went like it really scaled well for the second one.
Definitely.
But then there were obviously some like obvious things that just fucked up that we. Hindsight's only 20/20. Like we never would have known, and I'd do everything the exact same way again. Like I don't think we did anything wrong. There were some outside forces some big outside forces that kind of made a ripple into our business plan. But I looking back on it, it was awesome. It was such a cool experience, and it gave me so many like valuable lessons. And I was thinking about this the other day because like we never really talk about like the OPBA or like going through that experience. So kind of what was like the first thing that you were like your aha moment of like, oh, this is like
cool.
This is fun dope. Yeah.
I remember after our first one, if I have this timeline right, some dude from Pennsylvania called me, and he was like interested in sort of buying an LLC, but also starting like a Pennsylvania.
Dustin Sowards?
I think maybe that's the guy. Are you stay in contact with this guy?
No, I think that's the person.
That's crazy if you remember it. But yeah, someone called me, and I was like, oh wow, this is like actually picking up. And, I think our challenge in the beginning was like articulating like how this combined winner came together. But once we like showcased that it worked, it was cool. And I think Zeke won the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think his storyline of him not winning either Saturday or Sunday, but him winning the overall was kind of like a good story for us, right?
Yeah,
like showing like, I think we started for a few reasons. One, like, I always go back to like bodybuilding is just, I'm getting Mike ready for his show, how expensive bodybuilding is. Like we wanted, when we asked the girls to go, like no one was buying all these like, jewelry and all these crazy bikinis or these posing trunks for the guys. Like, we just wanted to we wanted the barrier to entry to competing to be easy, especially for something that was like kind of even more niche, right? Power bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, really is that the first one I was like, okay, like I remember being like, I don't care if we lose so much money. Like, I think honestly at the end of the day, after the first two shows, we pretty much like broke even with all the equipment, and we'll talk about why we, ended and all these things. But I think for me, it was like probably that second show when we like had over 20 people sign up and a growing women's division. I was like, okay, sweet. And backstory, the cool part for me was that this was at the middle school I went to, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at Olentangy Liberty Middle School, and that was awesome for me, man, to be back there and be hosting my first LLC event, whatever it be. But
yeah, that was super cool for you, and obviously super cool for me to be a part of. But I think like going back on it, there's so many things that we just didn't know. But you only know what you know, right?
Exactly.
Like you don't know what you don't know, which is helpful and it's hurtful. But I think like we really didn't have like a business plan. We were just like, hey, we're gonna throw on the show, and
we definitely did.
Hope for the best, and we'll just kind of figure out as we go. Which like being our first time in business and like the point we were at, it wasn't like we could lose money on the situation, be fine. So it was like, it was really like, let's just get some experience.
We had this both of us had this cardinal job, and we like bonded over like doing this, maybe during our lunch breaks or after work or whatever.
Or Zach when he was still on the clock.
Yeah. That's ultimately why I got fired.
Yeah.
I guarantee that's probably when it started.
Probably.
Yeah.
But like even furthermore, like that was the best thing that's ever happened to you. Was getting fired.
For sure. I have a great interview with G where I go really in depth with it on my YouTube, but it's, I'm someone in my life who sometimes people talk about taking this leap of faith, and, I'm definitely someone who, I'm the first entrepreneur in my family and all these things, so I definitely get nervous sometimes to make these jumps. Corey's been a lot of my, guidance on, the entrepreneurship side of my life, so I definitely am like reserved, and I've been lucky, but I've always been pushed, right, instead of making this jump. And man, I know this, like being pushed, getting fired like that, and going straight into full-time personal training for myself, and then when COVID happened in the gyms, right? Like sometimes, so my next one's like working on my own spot, right? So I think being just pushed in these situations, how I've always kind of operated, but I know when I got some fire under my ass, it'll work out.
Well, it comes down to something that Gio was talking about, is just being a gamer. Like, when you're fucking thrown into the fire and you sink or swim,
man,
for the most part, we swam. But you have to, like, here's the part that people fucking missed, is like, we decided to run this organization with no real background, no real guidance. Like, Corey had started NOBA, so we kind of had that blueprint to do stuff, but we really didn't have a blueprint to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we had, like, the insane fucking work ethic to just make it work no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that people miss, is like, we were still getting up at fucking 4 a.m. and training.
Yeah, we were training at, Tredway lived out in Gahanna, and we were training at 4. I was living up with my dad. We would train at 4, go to Cardinal at 9, and we'd be working on this after, and that's when I started picking up clients too. I was still up at Cardinal a little bit, but yeah, man, and it's like, we didn't like make a ton of money from it, but I was like proud of that. Right?
Super proud of it.
Yeah, it's just like, it was like literally a new thing.
Yeah.
Right? It showed me, and my question for you, Tyler, is like, I always think about like this, like, especially with how much like this just power building concept is growing, right? And I think our group, and Corey, are a big reason this idea has grown.
Sure.
But I think like I'm like sometimes like, man, maybe if we did one more, like it might have really popped off, because it like had a lot of momentum, I think, and it's like everyone talks about being strong, a little bit strong, a little bit jacked, right? Dropping these narratives of a weak bodybuilder and a fat powerlifter, right? And we definitely help shape that. But I guess my question for you is like, do you, looking back, like, what pops to your head, like, maybe why, should we have kept going, like, maybe places we slipped up?
So, like, super specific examples of where we fucked up. Like, we judged the first one because we were trying to save money, which was not the way to do that.
Tyler and I owned it.
Yeah.
I think you ended up being, I didn't judge.
Yeah, Zach didn't judge, but I judged.
And Tyler's part owner, conflict of interest there, right?
And we brought one other, like, outside.
Tommy, who had competed, he was a natural pro bodybuilder, so like, that was helpful. And we had Ben, who competed in
the second one.
Second one, okay. Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah,
right.
So Tommy was at the first one.
Yes.
Which was good because he kind of led the way.
Sure.
And so I didn't have like a ton of input, but it's still like the narrative of like, oh, you have this. And like the other odd, like, kind of peculiar thing about the OPBA was like we knew all the competitors because they were from our circle.
Sure.
For the most part.
Sure.
There were some people that we didn't know, especially in the second one, but for the most part we knew everybody. But nobody got pissed off at the results in the first one.
Not the first one.
Everyone was super happy. Everyone was super happy, and it was good. And we thought that we could get away with the same thing in round 2.
Yeah.
What happened was we like doubled in size and brought in the female division. And if there's one thing that I never ever want to be part of in the rest of my life, it's female bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because you mix ego.
That killed that. I've done bodybuilding, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it killed bodybuilding for me a little bit. Like, I'm always gonna want to look good and feel good, right? But I don't know if I'll get back on stage someday. Definitely back on a powerlifting meet.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, we'll get more into this, right? But that was such a bad experience.
And we fucked it up because we should have just had people judge it.
Sure. We were still too closely tied to like the outcome of it, right?
Well, I think what happened was we wanted to just prove to everybody that we could fucking bust our ass and make it happen.
Yeah, we were trying to make ends meet, really.
Yeah, and we were like, no, we'll do it all ourselves. Like, we don't want to like go and really.
We were prideful in that.
Yeah, and we should have probably reached out to other people and had they did help us with judging, but we didn't have that part kind of stapled down. And honestly, it would have been okay, but we weren't ready. Like, we don't have to get into the super specifics of what happened, but like we weren't ready for like this whole wave of what essentially was cancel culture hit us. Like, we're talking about being hipsters to like being early on shit. We were like OG cancel culture too, bro. Like to be 100%? How much do you want to
Well, I think the first story I should start with, Tyler, is like kind of the narrative of the OPBA, what it was, and this will lead into that. So, we wanted the competition, I think we both agree on this, to be one easier barrier to entry, right? Like, we wanted people like, hey, I don't have to spend, Mike, we were going over his receipts last night for men's bodybuilding.
Super expensive.
He spent like almost $700 just like kind of, hotel preparing, all these things, suit, tan, blah, 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 right? I think, we wanted the idea to be, it was not a transformation competition, but we weren't looking for, this unhealthy, like very skinny, like we wanted to support strong lifting too, and we know you have to be, consuming calories still, right? Like we were trying to change the narrative of what it meant to get on a bodybuilding stage, because, it is really sad, these, peak weeks and like how these men and women are feeling, right? So we're trying to change that narrative, but by no means was it a transformation contest, right? We see a lot of competitions, they have these now, and these things are great, right? But we were still looking for, I should have brought our criteria what we judged on, but it was muscularity still, evenness, I would say, there's probably a few other ones, but so I guess, what I'm trying to get to here is that we were looking at something a little differently, and we're like, hey, we're still looking, our tagline was being strong and jacked, right? Why not both? And, from there, it kind of developed into something else, especially in the second show. And we can talk, Tyler, I think, when our problem, once again, we were a little too closely tied to some of the judging. The second show, we didn't judge at all, right? And we still had that much more people complain. I've never seen so many people complain about getting 5th or 4th. Like, not even close, right? It's like, what do you complain about? Complain about lights. We were at a middle school, but if you're familiar with Olentangy, they're great schools, man. Olentangy Middle School had great lighting still. And here's the truth, everyone's up on stage together. I've never seen someone complain so much about how uneven the lighting was. And, I think we should have got people to buy into more, like, hey, be a part of us growing, right? Maybe people, but, man, that sense of entitlement, man, it's sad. That's, we can talk about it all, man. I'm happy to share.
Yeah, and I think that is really what was like super detrimental, because you and I both had this like goal vision for this thing, and it kind of got morphed by these like outside concepts of what people put on it for us. Like we had this, so the men's group grew significantly.
We had 2 divisions in the second.
We had 2 divisions.
Like a lightweight and a heavyweight.
And it was good. It was super solid. We had all the dudes were good, and then we had 2 different like subgroups of women. One that treated it like a transformation contest, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But at the same time, you have to understand, like, the criteria is still, it's a bodybuilding show and a power team. You still have to look good and perform well.
Sure.
And to be honest, they just came in super overweight, and they wanted this whole like body positivity, like, I'm comfortable with my own skin, which that's great, but just don't get on a bodybuilding stage. Like, look, bro, I'm not gonna go step on a bodybuilding stage right now because I'm gonna get dead last, and I'm not gonna come and tell you it's your fault.
And that's, I think, where I got a little upset. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm here to support more people getting into competition, right? I think it helps keep your fitness up and all these things, right? And kudos to them for coming and signing up for our meet and all this, right? But don't attack us. We had, unfortunately, a group of people just, there were some comments made, one in the crowd, that I don't think we could. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me know if people ask questions too. If you guys got questions about the OPBA, happy to answer. We just had a group of people that did not, I guess, appreciate, getting. And we knew these people, I guess, outside of the gym a little bit. There was still this connection, more or less, right? But at the end of the day, the placings were fair, and I've just unfortunately never seen some people want to come after you for, giving you a placing for when you're getting on stage to be judged, right? Yeah. I mean, it's an uncomfortable place, right? That's just the truth.
Yeah, some people just aren't made happy feelings hurt.
Sure. Sure.
And
I don't think any of these people are really in the sport.
I would venture to guess no.
Okay.
I think they've picked other career paths, well documented.
Okay.
But yeah, man, like, to be honest with you, it was shameful, because there was a group of really dedicated girls that fucking killed it.
Yeah, killed it.
Fucking awesome. Like, I know I don't know this personally, but I've been told like when you make those changes transformation wise, it's different on a female than it is on a male, especially mentally. And I think that a lot of those girls put some fucking hard ass work into that and transformed everything, and then to have the opposite happen, and then it's like
and then they're the ones attacking.
Yeah, if I'm putting myself in those shoes and I see somebody who busts their fucking ass, and then I don't do anything, and then I'm gonna get pissed because they were better than me. But that's just not really how this group of individuals were thinking. And so it was really outside of our control. And to be honest with you, that ended up being kind of really the downfall, because at that point we were just discouraged from everything.
Yeah, I remember leaving that one and just being, I don't want to fucking do this again. I mean, the amount of emails we got after people complaining, and listen, I'm not here crying wolf. Like,
here's the thing, I don't give a fuck what any of those people say.
No, by no means, man. I think we just want to share, like, why, I think we got burnt out, if we're being honest.
Super burnt out.
Like, and sure, like, I bet if we were making a bunch of money from it, it'd be a different conversation, but, I don't think our passions were in that, Tyler, super much. I honestly do see myself down the road, like, trying to host more events. Mm-hmm. My love is not in bodybuilding, it's in powerlifting, so, I definitely see myself going that route, but, man, it was burnt out, and I think these competitions are challenging. And you and me are both in athletics too, dude. So we want to support people who are feeling their body, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, bodybuilding is it's not always the healthiest sport, right?
No,
so I think we didn't always agree with some of those things too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, like, I think just looking back on it, you're right. Like, we weren't, like, it wasn't what we were meant to do, but it definitely helped us to understand a lot of super valuable lessons.
Mature, man.
And
how to deal with people.
How to deal with people being like the main one,
Sure.
like communication skills and like understanding situational awareness, and like other people might not have situational awareness, and you kind of have to be like, neither one of us are inherently dickheads.
I think, especially, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, Tyler's like super scary looking, but honestly, one of the fucking nicest guys I know. I mean that, Tyler.
He's lying.
And but I think in those moments when we were getting these emails and people coming at us, we were like so kind of like taken back. We really did. I don't really remember reacting much in this situation. I remember not responding, at least at first, and taking time, but at the end of the day, like, I think we figured, because I think on paper you'd see the amount of people that attended, the people that signed up, it was like a successful thing. Like, we grew double in attendance after the second show, and like, on paper this business was doing well, it was getting better, right? But, man, like, we were very passionate, we're lucky to have positions now we love so much, and it's easier for us to show up every day, but that was wearing on us, especially we were, taking Sequel. We were, it was wearing on us, and that was extra work we put in. So, man, I hope we could, I think the idea is great. I think there will be definitely a place for it, and we can talk a little bit about how we did scoring and all that, but.
I think, like, the big thing was, like, even though it ended, we never fucking missed a beat. Like, we were never like, oh shit.
No, man, we were training the next Monday, man.
We were training the next Monday. I was like, alright, well, I'm just gonna keep showing up and just fucking figure
it
out.
Yeah, we figured.
That was the biggest thing. Like, when you get fucked over, like, I'm not saying I got fucked over, but like when your business fails, like, even though it wasn't detrimental when we were like out of the job or anything, still, like, we had this concept, we put it on paper, we thought it was successful, we thought it was going to continue to grow, and then all of a sudden it's taken away by something that we couldn't have any control over. And really, there was nothing, like, to paint the picture without painting the whole picture, like, we couldn't have blocked it. If we would have tried to block it, we would have got fucked, just like we got fucked by letting it happen.
You're right.
But I think, like, the perseverance to just say, all right, fuck you, this didn't work, so we'll just go figure something else out. And then to continue, I mean, we're still in the same spot. I mean,
nothing's really changed.
Nothing's really changed.
We're just doing a little better, right?
Just doing a little better and continuing to grow and expand.
Yeah. So, I'm thankful for it once again. I don't think it was, like, any bad blood or anything, man.
You said it was 2018, bro. It feels like it was, like, a decade ago.
It feels like forever ago, man, because COVID was in between. But it's, I think maybe one day we could do it again even and, make it kind of like a retro throwback thing. But it was a fun idea because, we really were asking people to, kind of be strategic with it, right? And that's what Zeke did in the first show. Who won the second show? Men's. It was lightweight guy. Why am I?
Mike Spark?
No, Devin Thompson. Isn't that his name? I still follow him on Instagram. Remember, he was the real light guy. He won the light class because he was really strong too.
To be honest with you, I can't remember anybody who did
Really?
that.
See, this is
I don't remember. Did Kelsey? No, Courtney won the.
Women's. Courtney
Amber won the women's.
Yeah, one women's, and
And
then
I can't remember who won the men's. It wasn't G. It wasn't.
I think it was Devin. He because he was like a 148. He was
I
a
think
lighter.
you're right.
He was shredded.
Shredded.
And really strong.
Men did it. Grayson did it. He looked good.
Grayson, yeah, and that was a cool thing is like a lot of the guys in our circle like train this way already, so like kind of growing that, and I even think that we've been in a lot of gyms, and this is how everyone trains now. I think everyone wants to look good and be strong, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just the truth. So it's really asking people to step into that competition. We were trying to make it like easier to get into than a powerlifting meet or even a bodybuilding show, but. Scoring wise, do you remember how we did that? I remember, you got points basically on how you finished in bodybuilding, right? So if you got first, you got the most points, right? If you got last, you still got some points.
You got some points, but you didn't get, so you
much,
could still,
right.
So you could still technically, the way we set it up was, if you performed poorly in bodybuilding, you still had a shot if you came out and did well on day 2. You'd have to ball.
Sure.
You could be a really strong
you could maybe finish top.
And so that's what kind of fucked us, was because the girls that kind of, whatever.
Didn't at least train for one side of it.
Yeah, they didn't train for the bodybuilding side, they just trained for the powerlifting, but they weren't strong either.
Yeah, so it's like...
it was like a moot point, but you know what I mean? But because they were getting just smoked by the girls that were actually strong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where we wanted that to happen. You can do that if you choose to.
Sure, there's strategies.
But you're not gonna, you could come in a little softer and just be super strong, which that was Zeke's thing in the first competition. It's I'm not gonna look as good, but I'm gonna fucking kill everybody when it comes to powerlifting.
Yeah.
And which was super cool because there are people that you can kind of strategize, and I thought the concept of the OPBA is still really, really cool to me.
Sure.
By being able to do both.
Yeah, do both. Because there is a lot of strategy to it. So, what we did was Saturday was the bodybuilding show. So we started with that first. People would come in, they'd weigh in at 9 a.m. And that was your 24-hour weigh-in for powerlifting. So that was your meet weight for powerlifting too, because we would start the powerlifting meet the next day at 9 a.m. or whatever we did. So we did the show. You got points basically according to where you finished in bodybuilding placing. And then we had an overall winner, and we gave them an award. And we also did best arms. Best.
We did some cool shit.
Yeah, very unique awards and these things. And then powerlifting, I believe how we did is we ranked them again, Tyler, but it was based off your coefficient, right? Because we had to think of a way of how could a 148 guy compete with a 198 guy, right? So that's taking your total, so squat, bench, and deadlift, your best of those 3, added together, divided by your body weight, your coefficient, right?
Yeah.
And then we ranked coefficients. Meaning if you had the best coefficient, you got the most points, right? And then you added those points together with your bodybuilding show. That's how we got our total score. So and then Zeke, I think was a cool first winner because he got second in both, I think.
He did.
Right? And that means obviously I forget who won bodybuilding. Was it G? Because Corey jumped in our first one and it was awesome to have him.
Corey was in both, right?
Did Corey do the second? Yeah, he did do the second one.
I'm pretty sure he did both.
No, I don't think he did, man.
Really?
I don't know.
I could be.
This is.
I'm trying to find the OPBA calendar on Instagram right now.
Yeah, I can't believe it's still active.
Yeah, it's my internet's not working, but I can't remember who won bodybuilding in the first show.
Man,
this is it's gonna bother me, but anyway, what it showed was you didn't have to be the best at either one.
No,
just as long as you presented the total package, then you would be good.
Sure. And I think once again we were just trying to encapsulate hey, this is something you can make part of your daily life. It doesn't have to be this over-encompassing thing.
No,
like bodybuilders, it's 24/7, right? Getting ready for powerlifting, it can be a lot. But
yeah, you can.
This is definitely a new strategy. Definitely a new strategy. Did you find it? It's gonna bother me.
I did find it. So we
winners. Yeah, it should be early on. OPBA comp on Instagram. It's pretty old.
OPBA comp. Yep. We even had a post that was 2 months out from the third. We were gonna have a third.
Oh, we were like, fuck it.
Apparently. I don't remember that. Did Frank won the bodybuilding.
That's right. Frank was a Cosenza. That's right.
Yep.
Oh my God, man. He like moved to China and he's like an Olympic weightlifting coach or something. Or maybe he's back now.
Yeah. I'm looking through these pictures, man. It was
Frank won the first one? Bodybuilding?
It was no, the first one was
No. Frank?
the overall winner for the first one was Zeke, and the second one was Devin. His name's Thrive Barbell, right?
Thrive Barbell.
He won the second one.
Yes, yeah. He was like 150 maybe.
And I think he won both days, right? Like he had the best.
Yeah, I think he had the best coefficient too.
Coefficient too.
He's
Yeah,
fucking really strong.
Yeah, he was super strong, and I think he won.
Shredded.
It was either him or Frank who won the bodybuilding portion.
Okay, yeah, Frankie might have got second, and like Mike Sklar did well. I know. Yeah, I don't think Riley too. Was he first?
Riley.
He was first.
Riley did the first one.
That's right.
Yeah, Jake.
Riley Carlton.
Yeah, Jake.
I see him. I see my Grammy sometimes.
Riley?
Yeah.
OU guy.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
right.
I haven't talked to him in forever. He just like goes on
Yeah,
social media.
Yeah, he always asks me. Yeah, he asked me about you. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, that's so funny, man. It's like funny remembering back to this. It does seem like forever ago because I was like, man, I was like, Tyler was my age that I am now, and I was 22, turning 23.
I was 26 when we started the OPBA.
Yeah.
Crazy.
27 now.
Yeah, it's wild, but like you said, like there's just so many good takeaways from it, and I wouldn't change anything. I don't remember ever thinking. I think we were gonna do a third one, and then COVID happened, maybe.
Maybe we were talking about it. I mean, it was 2019.
Posted about it on Instagram, bro.
Yeah, we were probably going about it then. Maybe that's what happened then. Because
the first one was in 18 and the second one was in 19.
It would have been around May, so
yeah,
it's
May
probably
2020. Yeah, and I don't know when all that stuff happened.
It was about March.
Yeah, so yeah, probably.
Wow.
So we got canceled by COVID and cancel culture.
Who should we blame?
Both.
All right. Well, yeah. I think maybe we can talk about. We should do another one of these sometime and talk about the magazine. That's a whole nother.
The magazine is an interesting.
I kind of forget how much Tyler and I have been through, man. I always tell this story. I've told it before, but I remember coming into old school. And Tyler used to be a 165, and I used to be 181. And I remember being like, and seeing Tyler and his beard. I don't know if you had your beard yet though when I came, but I remember being so intimidated by Tyler. I was so scared. I was like 19 probably when I first started coming in and seeing Tyler lift, and I was like so intimidated by him, man.
You probably should.
Tyler's a big teddy bear. He tries to act tough. But
You should still be intimidated.
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, happy Accountability Friday 10. Appreciate Tyler being on. We'll be live next week. Harrison's back in town, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Peace.
All right. I gotta turn this off. Sweet. Looks like we had